Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa bihi nasta'een. Wa nusalli wa nusallim ala tuhru tahir al-alam al-zahir. Al-Mansur al-Mu'ayyid bil-Qasim Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Wa ahli bayti tayyibin at-tahirin. Alladhina adhaba anhum ridsa wa taharahum tathira. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. This is lesson 15, a continuation especially of the previous lesson, and that is lesson 14 regarding the Tafsir of Surah Fatiha, and we are still here. We were discussing and we've said that when we came to this part here, Iyyaka na'bud wa Iyyaka nasta'een in Surah Al-Fatiha. And here is where Allah start actually attacking, start rocketing, start torpedoing what the human ego. And we will continue with that. We've said the methodology we employ is first a manhajul lughawi, and again because we first need to understand the Arabic language as a phenomena, the prose, the grammar, the eloquence, the sarf, the nahaw, the balagha, the balagha and all of those, in order to give a better understanding, not the English translated, and I want to repeat, not the English translated versions, because we have it in Arabic. When we say translation in Arabic, there's a saying in Arabic that says in the tarjumata, that translation khiyana, it is a betrayal, because you cannot 100% translate something from one language to another. You will always lose some of the taste of the original understanding, and that's why translation is an art, is a skill. You cannot translate in many instances word by word, verbatim. No, sometimes word by word does not work in the original language, and then in the language in which you want to translate it into, sometimes you cannot find the appropriate words, but then you have to search in that language in which you want to translate it to, want to search the closest equivalent to the original meaning. Let us give you, for example, if we say let us give you an example in Afrikaans. If you want to say, for example, you are in love, then the Afrikaans saying is, and I'm going to translate it literally for you to see how silly it is, to translate something literally. In Afrikaans, when you say something, for example, you are in love, then the idiomatic expression in Afrikaans is, hy is been af. And literally in English, his leg is off. Now that doesn't give the real taste. But it has to do with when you fall in love with somebody, etc. And as if you can't stand anymore, there is some kind of temporarily paralysis in your legs, where you actually fall. Even the English word fall in love, there is a falling involved, a losing of your balance. The same. How do we translate that? In English, if I say, for example, his leg is off, that is the original Afrikaans. You can't say it. You have to find the closest equivalent in English, and that has nothing to do with his leg is off. I just gave you one example between these two languages, and that is Afrikaans and English. Many other languages, every language has its own characteristic. And therefore, we need to understand the Arabic first, and that should be the point of departure. But therefore, we said manhajul lughawi, a linguistic methodology. Right, coming back to what we've said here. We've said here that Allah here is attacking heavily, by the way, the human ego. We've said that when you are praying alone, it makes logical sense if you say, I worship you, O Allah, I worship you, and I ask you for help. It makes sense, and that is 100% correct. But Allah did not use that, because we're supposed to, in every salah, whether it is wajib, compulsory prayer, or the nafilah, or the extra sunnah salah, as we can say it, for example, you still have to say Iyaka na'bud in every rak'ah, in every unit of the prayer, in every rak'ah. You must say na'bud. Why? Because we have to think in terms of us. And in so doing, Allah is torpedoing. Allah is attacking what? First and foremost, let us say here, the biggest sin that is taking us off our path, the path which Allah, the path of happiness, the path of success, the path of prosperity, the path of dignity, the path of honor, the path of freedom, the path of falling in love with Allah. What is that? The biggest problem, the biggest sin is the ego. Ego, or egocentrism, or a person who's egocentric or egotistic. That's the biggest problem of all the sins. That sin is ala ra'sihim, is there in the higher echelons, maybe number 1 or number 2. That's the biggest. And we've given you the example, and that example is when Shaitan, as it was in Quran, where Allah revealed it, when Shaitan said that he cannot prostrate in front of Adam, because in his understanding at the time and his reasoning he gave, khalaqtani min nar, you created me out of fire, I am better. The ingredient, which is the fire, is of a better material, of a better quality than what you created Adam from. And Adam was created from who? From that dust, from that sand, from this thing I'm walking on. How can I make sujood in front? How can I prostrate in front of Adam? And because of that, Allah got literally angry. And we say that obviously because Allah always stay the same, leave that for Tawheed now, we don't want to, but he incurred the wrath of Allah in that moment. And Allah said, as we have the story there in the Holy Quran, therefore the nafs, the ego, is the biggest problem for insan, already alluded here in Surah Al-Fatiha. Why? Because when a person is egocentric, when he is arrogant, when he is conceited, he considers him to be better, his knowledge to be supreme, whereas somebody else's opinion has no meaning, is inferior. He do not consider someone else. And after all, that he thinks that he is absolute, he has the absolute truth, the Haqqul Mutlaq is with him. Whereas that Sifa is only Allah, only Allah knows everything, not us. We are all, doesn't matter if you have, 5 PhDs and, 15 master's degrees under your name, you are still a student of ilm, of knowledge. That's why knowledge must be filtered through the filter of humility, not ego, not to become arrogant. And we will give you some, inshallah, later on. And let us look here, for example, the nafs, the ego, people who think that they know everything. These people, we obviously know, they even have behavioral problems. They can never have relationships because of their understanding of, I know it all. And that is a big problem. Where does it also play out into? It play out into in the family. If you have a mother or a father or a brother or sister in a family, and one individual there, one of those members are egocentric, is arrogant, that family is going to be dysfunctional. Lots, if you look at the basis, at the core of dysfunctionality, you will find what? Ego. Ego is there. Hence, Anbiya and Imam Ali salamullah alayhi always says, for example, in Dua Kumail, وَجْعَلْنِي فِي كُلِّ الْأَحْوَالِ مُتَوَاضِعًا. Oh Allah, make me in every situation humble. Make me humble, not arrogant. So, even in the usra, even in the family, the ego plays. For example, even with friends or with friendship, why don't friendship happen? Or why don't it last? Why is there no continuity with many friends? What's the reason? Ego. Ego is taking over. Because the I is important. And it is not the we. It is not the us. Another instance where it happened, as we have mentioned earlier, also in the workplace. It plays out early. You have the higher echelons of management, senior or middle management, and they look down upon ego, where you have certain managers or supervisors or CEOs. They are egomaniacs, egocentrics. They like to command. They like to order. They like to be bossy. That's ego. A leader is someone who leads from in front. And he's pulling the crowd, not from on top, and he's looking down and ordering. But where is his leadership, where he must show? No, you don't. Even in the workplace, where you find where certain managers and senior people, they're egocentric. And as well, also in the sphere of government, for example, many a times the people complain about certain services, about certain responsibilities and duties which government must do. But then government is too arrogant. They don't listen to the people. Yet, who were the ones who put them in power? It was the people who put them in power. So they have an obligation. They have a duty. They have a responsibility to listen to the people. And what is at the basis where they don't listen to the ego? It is ego that's playing out even there. In all the various forms of government, and let us salute those members in government, whichever government it might be, where those ministers, where those senior managers in government, whatever the position is, where they serve the people, let us salute them. And let they be an example of, to the other departments, what is leadership. And let us look again very much with our youngsters, high schoolers, for example, in school life. And this is very prevalent here. And it plays also what? Out in the adult life as well, and that is bullying, where you find that people are being bullied. Let us say this, people who feel the need that they need to be in a group, and because they feel the need, they need to be in a group, and that group emboldens them, that group empowers them, that group expand their chest and they feel very mighty and powerful. That is a weak person. That is gangsterism. That is bullying. A person who fights alone, he stands on his own, that person is strong. But the person who mobilize a group, and then they have certain ways how to attack certain individuals, as we find it in gangsterism, as we find it in bullying. That is weakness. that is not strength. Because if they were strong, why are they not strong individually on their own? How come? Again, ego. Ego is there because we need to club together, we need to come together in order to subdue, in order to control, in order to dictate. That's ego. Ego even plays in there. And we have a latest phenomenon, which is cyberbullying. You have the normal bullying in school or even in gangsters, even in jails, for example, all those gangs, etc., survival they are in. Ego is playing out there. As you can see this, it is a sickness, it is a pandemic for humanity. That we need to control the nafs. We need to control the ego. And it plays also in cyberbullying when people sending messages on the group and somebody else is also sending messages but to intimidate, but to control, but to subdue someone else, to expose someone. That is also what? Cyberbullying. This is ego. These people are sick, mentally sick. As Quran says, فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ مَرَضٌ, in their hearts is a disease. فَزَادَهُمُ اللَّهُ مَرَضًا, and Allah will increase the disease for them. Why? They continue with it. And then they branch off into all other kinds of illnesses, mental and spiritual illnesses. So, we have said, how the ego plays also is when you find, for example, teacher, whoever is knowledgeable and is teaching somebody who is less knowledgeable, then sometimes the one who is less knowledgeable has the idea in his mind that you can't teach me. Who are you to teach me? I know it all. That is a pandemic, a sickness with many people. When you convey to them certain information or share with them certain knowledge, then you will always hear them, I know it all. But they never went through that training. They never wrote a book or heard somebody say, it's just ego. So inshallah, here already we have examples where the Holy Quran attacked the ego of insan, and that is at the core of all the other sins. The ego is at the core of all the other sins. Let us look here, for example, let us explain something to you, brothers and sisters. There is what we call in Arabic grammar a Jumlatul Ismiya and a Jumlatul Fi'liya. Jumla, there is a sentence, a verbal sentence, where a sentence start with a verb. For example, he ate an apple, that's a verbal sentence. And then you have certain sentences where there is no verb involved, but it is a statement. For example, the house is beautiful. So remember, the house is beautiful. Is actually not a verb, though in grammar it is a verb. We're going to explain that now. Let us look here. So with that in mind, let us look here. Here you will find there are statements up till here. It is Jumlatul. If we say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin. Up till here, up to Maliki Yawmiddin, that is statements. How come you can also say that this fall in the category of Jumlatun Ismiya? Though our ulama and our grammarians have said there's actually a verb that is mustatir, that is absent here, is actually I begin in the name of Allah. It can be, yes, we can also say that if we want to say it, if you want to interpret it in that manner. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But in this case here, you see these are all statements. It's a state of being. is not actually a verb. Is a state of being. It is. For example, Allah says, Kul hu Allah. O Muhammad, say to them, Hu Allah. Allah is. Allah just is. And is, we have said, there is the Farsi, that is ast. Ast. And ast is come from the word hasti. Hasti means existence. So is ast. Is ast. Is in Farsi, for example, as means exist. If I want to say, for example, John is at home. Is at home. Is not saying something. There's something missing with the is, and it actually means what? For example, John exists at home, or John is present at home. There's no, the is just, it's a state of being. It is like that. So here again, when Allah says here up till Ya Maliki Yawmiddin, from Bismillah until Maliki Yawmiddin, that is, it exists like that. This is not changeable. But from here onwards, that is changeable. Iyaka na'bud, there is the verb. Now we're supposed to start moving. Now insan supposed to move into al-kamal. He's supposed to move in from less development, which we are now currently. Yes, we are perfect. Yes, we are standard, if we can say so. There is a default system. Our systems are default. And it is standardized. But there is advancement. There is progress. So with ibadah, you move into kamal. You move into perfection. You move into progress. You move into advancement. And with isti'ana and asking for help and asking for hidayah, we are coming to that. We have said also, for example, there's this movement, this Rahman and Rahim. We have said Rahman is Rahman, amongst others, referred to the previous lessons where we have said, refer to a generality. And with this world currently is the world of Rahmaniyya. And as we've said earlier, it's going to move into Dawlatun Karima. That is the ultimate. That is the ultimate. The appearance of Hazrat Imam Hujjat Qaim Ali Muhammad Al-Mahdi. Ajla Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. May Allah inshallah guide us and protect us. And may Allah, if we are not around, we're asking Allah actually to resurrect us from our graves, to be part of that Dawlatun Karima. Let me ask you, sir, who's going to miss the finale? Who's going to miss the finale, the final chapter? None of us. We all have prayed and all of us asked for Allahumma narghabu ilayk fi dawlatun karima. Oh Allah, we ask you in that blessed system of government that is coming. We want to be part of that. I'm not going to miss the finale. And we ask Allah that we all should be part of the finale, inshallah. We have here inshallah, we will stop here, and then inshallah next week in the next installment in lesson 16 we will continue inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.